Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Let us start our session. So in the previous session, we were discussing from the previous 3 to 4 sessions, like we were discussing about a tool called GitHub. And there we have seen how to all those things, like we know how to create repositories, organizations, all those things. And also, like we have also seen some Git commands, how a developer commits the code. Usually either a developer, if anyone wants to commit the code into the GitHub, how actually we use Git commands, all those things we have understood as part of that. So if we see here, we have repositories here. We know how to clone this repository to our local machine, and we can work, developer can work locally, and again, he can push his changes into the remote repositories. So we have already seen, like, suppose, consider we have a repository called savings account. Okay, we are going to the Git repository. We have a repository called savings account. In the savings account repository, we have two branches. One is main branch, other one is master branch. Okay. So now I want to clone this repository for now. How to clone this repository? We have a command to clone this repository. Usually, for cloning the repository, we need the repository URL. So from where we'll get the URL, repository URL, we'll go here, we'll copy the repository URL. And if I want to clone this repository, usually I'll go to the desk, I'll go to somewhere, I'll go to the location where I would like to download. I'm using the git bash over there, and I will use a command called git clone the repository URL. I'm using a command called git clone the repository URL so that the repository will gets downloaded to my local machine. See, I'm trying to download the copy. Cloning is nothing but taking the copy of taking the copy. So whatever the repository that is present as a remote, that is present in the remote, I would like to clone it to my local. So when I run this command, it is showing like destination path. Yes, it is saying that in the destination, the same kind of repository is already existing. So let me delete that one. Yes, here if you see the folder repository is already existing. That's the reason why we could not able to download. I have deleted the repository, and I'm trying to clone the repository once again. See, earlier when I tried the repository was there already on my desktop. That's the reason why it is showing. It is already existing. Okay, destination path, this ICICI savings account already exists, and it is not an empty directory. Okay, the repository was already there on my desktop. That's why I could not able to clone it. Now I have deleted that on the location, and I'm able to clone it now. So I'm able to clone it. So now yesterday also, even if you follow the yesterday session, you might have understood. Once we clone the repository, how to go inside the repository, how to navigate inside the repository. So where this repository will be cloned, you see here, where you are cloning, this is the location, right? This is the path. So we are cloning this repository into this particular path called desktop. So on desktop, if you see, you will see some folder, the name of, this is the repository name, okay? This is the repository name. So with this name, you will see some folder. So this is how the folder you will find out. Okay, this is how you will see the folder on the desktop. And once you open the folder, you will see some files. It is fine. But in the Git bash itself, if you want to navigate to the folder, how to navigate to the repository, cd space ICICI savings account. This is how we will be navigating inside the repository, cd space, the repository name. And if you want to see the files that are present inside ls, we will see ls command. So in the main branch, we have only one file. We have only one file called re.md. And I have a question here. See, we have cloned the repository by using this particular command, git clone the repository URL. Okay, we have cloned the repository by using a command called git clone the repository URL. And this particular repository is having many branches. But why it is showing like only the main branch? Even if you see, if I want to see the list of branches, that are present, I can see only main branch. Okay, even I can see main branch. I'm just trying to, okay. Right. You see here in the beginning, you just need to, you have to follow this to understand actually what is happening and all. I'm clearing the screen. Okay, we cloned the repository, that is fine. And we are navigating the repository, we are navigating inside the folder. And if I want to see what are the files present in the folder, we will use ls command. Okay, so the very important thing that you need to understand is once you are inside the repository, immediately you will see the branch name. Immediately you will see the branch name here. When you go inside the repository, you will also see the branch name here. What is the branch name that is present over here? Master. So now my question is like if I am using a command called git branch, how many branches I have so far? How many branches I'm having? How many branches I'm able to see here? Hope you are getting, okay. If you are
Two,
not getting, let me
two
tell you.
branches.
Yeah, two branches. Like, anyhow, we have two branches, but for the clear understanding, what I'm doing is I'm going to delete this repo. Okay. I'm using the git bash. I'm going to use git bash again here on the desktop. And I'm going to run the same command git clone. Okay. I'm going to use the same command called git clone, the repository URL. And you know the purpose of this command, we are just downloading the repository. We are just downloading the copy of the repository to my desktop location. So this is the name of the repository. Even if you see the desktop, you will find the repository with this name. You'll see the repository with this name, ICICI Savings Bank. Okay. So how to navigate inside the repository? CD space, the repository name. CD space, the repository name. So I'm going inside the repository by giving a command called CD space ICICI Savings Account. And when I give ls command here, and you see what is the default branch, Venkat? When I'm going inside this repository, what is the default branch that I would able to see?
Main.
Main. Why? Because if you understand, if you really understand what is happening here, if I go to the repository, what is the default branch here? Anyhow, I have two branches. I have two branches, but I could able to see the main one as a default. And anyhow, we already discussed this. Whenever we create a repository, one default branch will get created with the name of main. And even we can also see here, this is the default branch. We did not created it. Okay, at the time of creating repository, by default, a default branch will get created. Fine. So whenever we navigate to the repository, it is clearly showing that main. But we have cloned the entire repository, right? We have cloned the entire repository, not only main branch. I did not specify. I did not specify like I'm going to clone only a particular branch. No, I have mentioned like git clone the entire repository URL. That time you see here, when I go inside the repository, it is showing the main branch as default. And still, if I would like to see what are all the branches that I have here, so to see the list of branches, what is the reason I'm using this particular command? Git branch is the command I'm using to see the list of branches available in this repository. Okay? In this repository, in the local, if you want to see the list of branches available, we can use a command called git branch. For now, it is showing only one branch. For now, it is showing only one branch. Okay. And in the remote repository, you see, we have two branches, right? We have master also. And we know what are the files present in the main. How many files are present in the main? We have only one file in the main. What about master? In master, we have multiple files. Three files are there. So now what I'm showing you is git. I would like to change the branch. How to change the branch? Suppose currently I am in the main branch. I would like to move to the master branch. What is the command I use to move to the master branch? Why? Because I have cloned the entire repository. I am in the main branch now. I would like to see what are all the files present in the master branch. When I'm giving git branch, it is not displaying all the branch names. When you check out to that particular branch, I'm just running a command called git checkout master. I am running a command called git checkout master so that it is showing an output like switch it to a new branch. Can you observe? Whenever I'm running a command called git checkout master, then only it is showing switch it to a new branch called master. And you might see the difference here. Earlier it was printing ICICI savings account main. Now it is printing like ICICI savings account master. Did you find the difference, Venkat? You got it right. When we are checking out a new branch.
Yeah.
New branch in the sense the branch is already existing there in the remote repository. We are not creating any new branch. We just clone the repository from the remote, and we are trying to check out the new branch called master here. So master is there, and if you want to see the list of files present in the master, we can simply run a command called ls. Yes, whatever the files that I had in the remote repository, every file is showing here. All the files are showing. But Venkat, I would like to create a new branch. Okay, I don't want main and master for my development purpose. I want to create a new branch. What is the command that we need to use? There is a command for creating a new branch, git branch name. Suppose if I would like to create a new branch called dev, okay? For my development purpose, I would like to create a new branch called dev. A new branch will be created with this command, git branch name. This is the syntax we follow. Git branch name is the syntax we follow for creating a new branch. And I already told you, whenever you create a new branch here, anywhere, either in the local or in the remote, whenever we create a new branch, can you see here, if I would like to create a new branch called dev, it is very much mandatory to select the source branch. You have to select some source branch. Are you getting it? Whenever you are creating a new branch, you cannot create an empty branch. Yeah, of course, you can create an empty branch, but you have to select source branch. So how many source branches are available for me? See, whatever the other branches that are present over there in the repository, everything is called as a source branch. When I'm creating a new branch with the name dev, let's see here, I'm trying to explain you in the remote repository. Here we have an option to click on and create a new branch. When I go for it, and when I'm creating a new branch, when I'm giving the name of the new branch as dev, immediately it is asking, you see here, there is a by default option that you need to select the source branch. You need to select the source branch. Without selecting the source branch, you cannot create a new branch. Either you need to see, if you go to the drop down here, I'm selecting this drop down option. And how many branches are there total? We have one default branch and one master branch, one main and master. Okay. So when I select main here, the dev branch will be created. A new branch called dev will be created by taking the source main branch as reference. And when I select this master, dev branch will be created by taking the reference as master branch. What do you mean by the reference and all? See, usually we will not be calling it as reference, but we should call it as a source one or otherwise base branch. We can call it as a base branch. Why? Because whenever I'm creating a new branch, all the files from the base branch will be copied to the new branch. When I'm creating a new branch called dev, all the files that are present here in the base branches, like main or master, they will get copied to the new branch called dev. Got it? So let me show you. I am creating a new branch called dev. When I am creating a new branch called dev, if I am selecting the source branch as master, I am creating a new branch called dev. Here, I am showing you how to create a new branch. Anyhow, we have already seen how to create a new branch here inside the remote repository. I am creating a new branch by taking the master as a reference. If you see, what is the base branch we selected while creating a new branch? What is the base branch we selected?
Main branch.
Monica, are you there?
Yeah, Vamsi.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So, Monica, you understood, right? So, we are creating a new branch. So, I'm just selecting the new branch name as dev. And the actual concept is whenever we create a new branch, we have to create a new branch. We have to create a new branch by selecting some source branch. So now we created a branch called dev. I selected the source branch as master. Okay. So what happens now? We'll see. This is the branch I created. And when I open this branch, you see whatever the files that already had in the master branch, all the files got copied to the dev branch. Why is it? Did I add any files to the dev branch? No, I did not add any files to the dev branch. I've created a new branch called dev, but whenever I'm creating a new branch, I selected the branch source branch as master. So when you select the source branch as master, whatever the files that are present in the source branch, everything will be copied to the new branch. Everything will get copied to the new branch. In the same way, in the local also, if you see, anyhow, dev branch is already created. I would like to create a new branch called test. Okay. I would like to create a new branch called test. Consider, I am just creating a new branch called test in the local repository. Okay. Local repository is different. Remote repository is different. So the advantage of Git is it is a distributed version controlling system. Distributed version controlling system, meaning any developer can download the copy of the repository and he can work on his local machine. Once he is done with the changes, everything, he can push everything into he can push all his development into the remote repository. That's how the GitHub acts as GitHub is a distributed version controlling tool. Okay, I would like to create a new branch. What is the command we use for creating a new branch? Suppose if I would like to create a new branch in local. Anyhow, in the remote repository, I know how to create a new branch. In the remote repository, we have just seen how to create a new branch. There we will find a new branch option. We will go there and we will create a new branch. We will select the source branch name and we will create it. How to create a new branch in the local? When I give git branch, I'm able to see only 2 branches here in the local. I don't have any other branches. Okay, I don't have any other branches. Now, if I would like to create a new branch here, I will use a command called git branch test. I would like to create a branch name called test. And you see, this will be taken as a reference now. We are already present in the, we are already present in the master branch. Okay. Where we are at now, we are in the branch called master. And when if you try to create a new branch called test, the entire source code present in the master will be copied to test. Now, test will not be an empty. See, test branch will be created, but don't expect that test branch will be empty. Test branch will not be empty. Whatever the source branch you select here, whatever the source branch you keep here, so all the files from the source branch will be copied to this branch. Okay, when I'm creating a branch called git branch test. And how to see the list of branches? What is the command? We see the list of branches. List of files, that is fine. ls command we use for looking up list of files. Okay, git branch is the command.
Yeah, git branch
is the command to see the list of branches. We have test branch created. And I would like to check out to the test branch. I would like to navigate to the test branch. How to move to the test branch from master? How to move to the test branch from master? So how you are identifying that you are in the master branch now? You could see, right? ICICI Bank, ICICI Savings Account, and immediately what is the branch name it is displaying? Master.
Yeah.
Now I would like to switch. I would like to switch to some other branch called test. How to switch? We have a command called git checkout.
Checkout, yeah. Git checkout test.
Git checkout test. Git checkout test. So you see here, when I'm using git checkout test, okay, git checkout test, it switched to a new branch called test. It switched to a new branch called test. And if you want to see the files present here, yeah, these are the files present in the test branch. Did I add any files into the test branch? No. I just created a new branch called test from the base branch called master. So all the files present in the master will get copied to test branch. And if you want to add any file to this particular branch, if you want to add, you are a developer, you would like to clone the repository, particularly from the master branch, you would like to clone your code, you have cloned the code, and these are the files that are present in the master branch. And now you would like to add one more file to this one. How to add one more file to this? You can create an empty file. Okay, I'm just creating an empty file. I am creating an empty file like credit cards 4.java.txt. I would like to add this file. Okay, I'm creating this file. I would like, when I give ls command, anyhow, the file name will be shown. But according to the architecture of the Git, this file will not get added to this file will not be moved to this file actually has to be moved to the staging area and local repository, all those things. We have to follow the Git architecture once a new file is added. Once a new file is added, you need to follow the Git architecture. How come we know that the file has not been added to our Git flow? So you can run a simple command called what? What is the command you run? Usually to see if a new file is added, we used to run a command called git status. You see, can you see here? When I'm running a command called git status, I could able to see one file is there which is untracked, credit cards 4.java.txt. It is an untracked file. How to move this file from untracked stage to the staging area? We need to move this file from untracked to staging area by running a command called git add dot. And still, if you want to see the status, you can see the status by running git status. Okay, file is in the staging area. If the files are showing in green color, we understood that the file is in the staging area. How to move the file from staging area to local repository?
Git push.
Git commit. We need to
Yeah,
run called git commit. Okay, I'm adding code.java file. I'm just adding some message, commit message here. Git commit adding 4.java, credit card 4.java. Okay, the file is moved. And you also know when you want to see the status, you will see the status like this for the when I run git status command, it will show like nothing to commit. Working tree is clean. Why it is showing like this? Because all the files are being moved. All the files are moved to the local repository. There is no files pending here, nothing to commit. All the files are committed to the local repository. If the files are present in the local repository, how to push the files, how to push the same into the remote repository? How to push the same thing to the remote repository? Usually, we use a command called git push. Okay, you know, right? We are already in the same repository. And this test branch is not at all present. The test branch is not at all there inside the. Do we see the test branch in the remote repository? No. Developer created this test branch in his local. Developer created this test branch in the local. Any questions? Developer created this test branch in the local machine and he would like to push the same thing. He would like to push the same thing to the master. We are in the test branch. You see, we are in the test branch. I say service account test branch. If I run git push, usually it is asking to run this particular command. Why it is asking this particular command? We need to run git push only. But whatever the current branch you have created, the current branch is not there. It is not present over in the remote repository. Okay. To push the current branch and to set the remote as upstream, use git push. It is asking to run this command. Why? Because you have this test branch in the local and you don't have the test branch in the remote repository. In that case, you have to run a command called git push -- set upstream. Git push -- set upstream. I'm just running this command. Let's see how it goes actually. Can you see here? The branch is pushed. The new branch is pushed. What is the branch name? Branch name is test.
just, yeah.
Git push -- set upstream is used for setting the new branch into the remote repository, pushing this new branch to the remote repository. We use this command for pushing a new branch. We don't need to remember this command. Whenever I use git push, it is saying whatever the current branch you are trying to push that has no upstream branch. There is no branch present in the remote repository. So now you would like to use this command. You need to use this command to push this new branch to the remote repository. So now you see I'm going here. I'll just refresh it. I'll see whether the test branch is created or not. Yes. Can you see here? Test branch is created and it has 47 seconds ago. Test is created. So that's how we will create a new branch inside the repository. That's how we'll create a new branch inside the local machine. Okay, inside our local Git repository. We can create branches in our local and we can push the branches to the remote repository. Okay. So whatever the branches you create, you can push all the branches to the remote repository. That's fine. So we can use Git commands like this. For cloning the repository, for developers usually clone the repository, they will do some development activities. They will add the files, okay, and they will push the branches or they will commit the files into the remote repository. And we will also learn some more Git commands, okay. We will also learn some more Git commands, okay. Let's understand. Once we have the source code available in the GitHub, once we have the source code available in the GitHub, let's understand how we are going to build the source code. To understand how we are going to build the source code, we are going to continue with a tool called Maven. And while using Maven also, we'll try to understand actually how actually we will build the source code. So we are going to understand a tool called Maven. So far, you might understood like what is GitHub. Okay, you got the basic idea, right? What is GitHub? GitHub is a source code management tool. It is mainly for managing the source code. There are many things that we should learn. There are many things that we need to learn in the GitHub. We need to know how to create branches, how to create pull requests. I have already explained in the previous sessions like how to create a pull request in the GitHub. Please refer the previous sessions. You will understand how to create a pull request and how actually the approvers will approve the pull request. Once they approve the pull request, they will be merged. Okay. So everything I have explained in the previous sessions, please go through the previous sessions and try to understand how actually the Git works. Okay. So now what I would like to explain is like now we are going to move to a tool called Maven. Let's understand a tool called Maven. Okay. Let's understand the tool called Maven. What is Maven? Anyone? Any idea about this Maven and all? So Maven is a Java-based build tool. Maven is a Java-based build tool. Why it is calling it as Java-based? It is calling Maven is a build tool. Everyone knows it. Okay, if anyone doesn't know it, usually Maven is a build tool. And we should know two things here. We should know what is a build tool, and we should also understand what is Java-based. So build tool in the sense like I actually explained the flow of the DevOps tools, how actually we use. And if you remember that flow, what happens is, let me show you one more time. What happens is if the source code is available, okay, if the source code is available in the GitHub, consider this is a GitHub repository and we have the source code available in the GitHub repository. Just consider we have a GitHub and the source code is available in the GitHub repository. Once the source code is available, it is our responsibility to build the source code and to generate the artifact. How we are going to build the source code? Suppose consider we have a Java source code inside the repository. We have Java source code. Consider we have Java source code inside this GitHub repository. If the Java source code is available, okay, don't worry about the source code. Let it be either a Java source code, Python code, .NET code, whatever it is. Consider we are taking an example that we have a source code of Java. Once we have the source code Java present in the GitHub, we need to build the source code. How to build the source code? We need a tool for building the source code. We are using a tool, build tool. Why we need to build? Why we need to build? What is the necessity of building the source code? Usually, we cannot dump the entire source code. We cannot use the entire source code, and we cannot dump the entire source code to make the application come into up and running state. Suppose usually developers write the source code, but if we want to make the application to run, what we need to do is we need only the necessary files. We need only the necessary files to make the application to come up and run. Okay. We need only few files, like we need the library file, we need the binaries, we need the necessary binaries, we need the necessary libraries. Usually we will call it as a jar file, okay? Let me explain you very clearly. We have a source code in the GitHub, and usually we will build the source code by using some build tool. Consider we are using a build tool called Maven. Okay, we are using a build tool called Maven, okay? Let's understand. This is the tool I am using. So Maven is not only the build tool, we have many build tools for Java. We have many build tools for Java. We have Ant is also a build tool. Gradle is also a build tool. We have many build tools available in the market, but the popular one is Maven. That is up to the developer, like what build tool they are using and all. So these are all the different build tools. Ant, Maven, Gradle, all these are the different build tools that are present here. All these are the build tools available for building the Java source code. So by using the build tool, we will be building the source code. Building is nothing but compiling the source code and generating only the necessary files. Necessary libraries and necessary binaries. Consider we have we have a dump of source code. We are not going to dump the entire source code into the server to make the application to work as expected. What we will do is we will build the source code. Once we build the source code, an artifact will be generated. What is the output that we will be getting? Once we use the build tool as Maven, and if I build the source code, we will get an output file called artifact. We are going to get an output file called artifact. Artifact is nothing but like, this is the output file that we will get after building the source code. We have source code available in Java. We are going to apply the Maven as a build tool. We are going to use Maven as a build tool. Once I use Maven as a build tool, the source code will be compiled, and finally it will generate a file called artifact. If there are no errors, okay, if there are no issues in the source code, finally it will generate an output file called artifact. This artifact can be generated either in the form of jar, var, or EAR. Okay, this will be usually the formats of the artifact. The artifact that we are generating here, the artifact will be either in the form of a jar with jar extension, .jar extension, .var, or .ear. Okay, artifact jar, artifact.var, artifact.ear. These will be the extensions that we see usually whenever we generate an artifact. Hope you understood the basic idea that why we are using Maven. We should use Maven as a build tool. Why? Because we need to compile the source code. We need to build the source code, and we need to generate a file called artifact. And we will take this artifact and we'll be deploying this artifact into the server. Usually the olden approach is we will take this artifact and we will be deploying this artifact into some server where the Tomcat or JBoss is installed. We'll be deploying this artifact into the server where Tomcat or JBoss is installed. That's how usually the older approach is. But now the scenario is changing, right? We are not using this JBoss, Tomcat. We are not using these things to deploy. Okay, today we are using Kubernetes. As I explained you very clearly, we are using Kubernetes. We are going to deploy all these things into the Kubernetes. Okay, but directly we cannot deploy this artifact into the Kubernetes. What we require is we need to convert this artifact into the Docker image. This is the flow that I have already explained. We need to convert this artifact into the Docker image. So once we convert this artifact into the Docker image, then only we can deploy the Docker image into the Kubernetes. Why? Because Kubernetes accepts Docker images only. You cannot take the jar file and you cannot deploy into the Kubernetes. In Kubernetes, you cannot deploy the artifacts. You need to deploy the Docker images into the Kubernetes. That's how the Docker concept came into the picture. Okay, we will understand the rest of the things later. Finally, just understand the basic flow. Source code will be available in the GitHub. We'll be using a tool called Maven. After using the build tool, so once we use the build tool, usually the output will be generated like artifact. And earlier approach is like the artifact will be directly deployed into the servers like JBoss or Tomcat. But if it is a artifact generating today, we are using, okay, if the artifact is generated, then we'll be converting that artifact into Docker image and we'll be pushing that into the Kubernetes. This is what we are doing today. And let's see some more information about the Maven. Maven is a Java-based build tool, and this is used for Maven is used for only Java source code. Okay, it is used for building Java source code only. That's why it is called as Maven is a Java-based build tool. Okay, who is the vendor of this tool? Who designed this tool? Vendor is Apache. Apache organization. You might have heard about Apache organization, Apache Tomcat. Okay, there are many tools that comes from the Apache. So vendor is Apache. And you see what? There are various types of builds. So you see here, whenever we understood like Maven is a build tool, we will not use the same build. Seems like my internet connection is unstable. Are you okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, Somsi.
Okay.
We
have different build tools. You see here for Java source code, for building the Java source code, we have a tool called Maven. Suppose if the source code is .NET, if we are using a different source code like .NET, the build tool will differ. Okay, it is not like for all the source code, for every source code, we use a common build tool. No. Maven is a build tool. Maven is a Java-based build tool, which is used for building the Java source code. MS Build is a build tool which is used for building .NET source code. PyBuild is a tool which is used for Python source code. So build tools are different for each and every technology that you are using. There will be a separate build tool. You need to find out. If you are not aware, even we can find out from the Google. We can search it. And suppose if I am using a latest technology, if I'm using any latest technology, so you can go ahead and search like what is a build tool that is suitable for it? What is a build tool that we can use? So it will show you the list of build tools, and you can also search like what is a popular build tool so that you will get an idea like what is the tool that we should use. Okay, this is how the build tools varies from one technology to another technology. Maven is a Java-based build tool. We are now discussing about Maven. Maven is a Java-based build tool. So I am trying to explain all these things because you need to understand any one build tool to understand the concept of DevOps, to understand the flow of DevOps. If you don't know what is a build tool, usually in the flow you will miss something. That's why we are adding these things. DevOps, we are adding this Maven. Maven is a build tool which is used for building the source code. And you see here what is the actual thing. We'll be having the source code of Java, and we are going to apply Maven on it. We are going to build the source code by using Maven. And what is the final output that we'll be getting? We'll be getting some artifact. And what is the other name that I have mentioned? You see different terminologies I'm using. You can also call it as package, artifact. What is the final output that we'll be getting once after building the source code? We'll be getting a package or artifact. And what are the three different types of packages or artifacts? You see, we should not call it as package. The actual terminology that we should use is artifact. But of course, okay, for our understanding that we are just mentioning, you will be getting some package. Okay, you will be getting some folder, which is called as an artifact with an extension called jar, EAR, or var. Okay, anything. So few things. Okay, for few times you will see jar extension, few times you will see var extension, and few times you will see EAR extensions. But this extension we are getting that will be based on the developer. Developer mentions something in the source code. Okay, there will be a pom.xml. We take the Java source code. Developer while writing the Java source code, he will also write pom.xml. Developer while writing the source code, he will also write a pom.xml. Inside the pom.xml, he will mention what type of artifact should get generated. Okay, whether it should be .jar extension, whether it should be with .var extension. So based on that, the artifact will be generated. Based on that only the artifact will be generated. Fine. Now, so what is the jar file? Okay, jar is nothing but Java archive. What is the full form of jar? Jar is nothing but Java archived. Var stands for web archived. EAR stands for enterprise archived. And there are different meanings for it. Okay, jar file. When the jar file will be created, suppose if we are using any standalone application, the standalone application like calculator, there is no internet connection required here. For calculator, we don't need internet connection, right? Required. So that's the reason why we call those applications the applications which can run without internet connection, okay? Without depending on the internet. Those applications are called standalone applications. If you see calculator in our mobile, no internet connectivity is required for that to use that application. So similar kind of applications are called as standalone applications. So if you are working with a standalone application, usually the extension, the artifact format will be jar. If you are working with a similar kind of application like standalone, the artifact that will be generated is Java archived, jar file. Jar file will be generated. And consider you are working with some web application like Gmail. Gmail is a web application, Facebook, Twitter, any kind of application today you are using, though that application will be called as a web application. If you are working with a web application, the artifact that will be generated is var. Okay, if you are working with, one second. Okay, if you are working with a web application, I'm just mentioning the examples for a web application like Gmail, Facebook, or any kind of web application. The artifact that will be generated is in the form of var. Var stands for web archived. What about EAR? EAR stands for enterprise archived. EAR stands for enterprise archived. Okay, so what do you mean by EAR? We understood standalone application, we understood web application. What about the multi-module application, So I have explained you what is a multi-module multi-module application. Any example can you give like what is a multi-module application we were discussing earlier? I told you an example of ICICI net banking or HDFC net banking. If I go to the website of ICICI or HDFC net banking, or if you go to any particular website, we will see different types of modules. Different types of modules. Let me explain. Let me show you. I've already shown you, but again, I would like to show you like what are the different modules that I would like to explain you very clearly. Okay. So if it is a multi-module application, you see personal banking is one module, NRI banking is one module, business is one module, corporate is one module. So these kind of applications, okay, if there is a large application and if you are dividing it into smaller modules, these type of applications, they will be called as, okay, multi-module applications. So multi-module application is an example where the artifact that will be generated is enterprise archive. Hope you got it. Okay. So now we understood like what are the different types of packages and what is the Java, what is the output file that we are going to get once after, what is the output file that we are going to get once after executing, okay? Once after generating the artifact, once after the building the source code, we'll be getting an output called Maven, we'll be getting an output called artifact, all those things, okay? So let's understand how we are going to install, okay, how we are going to set up Maven in our machine. So for that purpose, what I am doing is I would like to go to our AWS cloud. What I am doing is I would like to log in into the AWS cloud. You know what is the purpose why I'm logging to the AWS cloud now? I would like to discuss with you on Maven tool. Why I'm going to log in into the AWS cloud? I need a Linux server. As I told you, almost all the DevOps tools will be installed in a Linux environment. Don't think that we'll be working in the Windows environment, okay? For more security reasons, we will be installing all our DevOps tools and we will be working in Linux environment only most of the times. So that's the reason why I would like to show you how can we install Maven. How can we install Maven in a Linux environment? So I'm just trying to log in. I would like to go to the EC2 dashboard. And you see here, I don't have any instances running for now. I don't have any instances running. Just click on launch instance. So you know already, I would like to install Maven. I would like to take one Linux server and I would like to install Maven. Let's see how can we install Maven, all those things. I'm going to select the server name as, I'm just giving the name of the server as Maven. Okay, it is up to you. You can provide any name to the server. And when we come down, we have some application and OS images, okay? We need to select the OS image. I would like to do it for now on the Amazon Linux. You can select any other operating system. You can select any Linux flavor. I would like to go with Amazon Linux. I'm coming down. We are going for instance type called t2.micro. I'm selecting the instance type of t2.micro. t2.micro is enough for your practicing purpose. And you can also see here, it is eligible for the free tier. So a few things are not eligible for the free tier. If you go and see t2.nano, if you want to see, it is not eligible for free tier. If you use the things which are not eligible for free tier, you cannot use your free tier account for longer period. So usually there will be a validity of some 12 months. There will be a validity of 12 months. You cannot use, suppose, if you use the services which are not eligible for free tier, your free tier will be completed very soon. Okay, your free tier will get expires very soon. Okay, so that's fine, but you can go ahead and practice. I'm just going with t2.micro. Key pair, it is asking you what key pair you would like to connect. So here, either you can create a new key pair. This is generally for practicing. Either we can create a new key pair, otherwise we can also go with the existing key pair. I'm just going with the key pair called this one, DevOps 29 KP. And we should be very much. It should be, see, this to DevOps 29 KP, what I'm saying here, showing you here, this is very much required. Okay, it should be present in your local machine. Otherwise, we cannot connect to the server. Okay, this 29 KB. Somehow earlier I have downloaded this key pair. The same key pair I'm using, so that I will be connecting to the server by using the key pair. Okay, network settings I am not going to discuss with you now. We will discuss. We have a time. We'll discuss about the network settings and all. I'm just launching an instance. I'm not selecting any other things here. I'm going to select only the storage. By default, the storage is 8 GB only. I'm going with the same storage. And I'm not selecting any other things here. I'm just going with the launch instance. That's it. And anyhow, I've already clearly explained like how to launch an instance in the AWS cloud. Please go ahead and launch an instance. We have already launched an instance in the AWS cloud. How to see? If you go to the EC2 dashboard, click on instances running, and you see here how many instances are running. We have only one instance running. And what is the name of the server that we have provided? The name of the server is Maven. The name of the server is Maven. Okay, it is running. So how to connect to this server? For now, I'm just selecting this particular one. I'm just going to click on connect. So I would like to connect with the EC2 instance connect option. There are multiple options like session manager, SSH cloud, SSH client, EC2 serial console. For now, I'm not going with these different options. Okay, I'll explain you later how to connect with the different connections here. We have a session manager, SSH client, and EC2 serial console. I'm going with EC2 instance connect now. I'm going to select connect button. That's it. We will be connecting to the server. We'll be connecting to the server. So for now, I got connected to the server. Okay. Always remember, like whenever you want to check whether you got connected to the server, this is the confirmation. Like this is the confirmation. If you see the IP address here, okay, if you see the IP address, EC2 user at the rate IP address, then you can confirm that you got connected. You got connected to the Linux server. Now, what is the purpose why we got connected to the Linux server? I need a Linux environment to work on the Maven, tool. So now I would like to show you why Maven tool is used. And we also understood Maven is a build tool. Okay, Maven is a build tool. It is used for building the source code. So to build the source code or to work on the Maven, we need some source code. After that, we will also, okay, we need the source code. To download the source code, to download some sample source code, we need git commands here. Okay, we need git commands to work here. And we need to apply, we need to run Maven commands. Okay, we need to go for some Maven commands. So to run the Maven commands also, Maven must be installed here. So list out the packages. Okay, try to understand that what are the packages that we need to install here. We need to install Git, we need to install Maven, we need to install Java. So before you install Maven, we need to install Java. Why? Because Maven is a Java-based build tool. Okay, and Maven is also developed by using a source code called Java. Maven is a tool that is developed by Java only. That's the reason why we should have Java installed in it. Okay, fine. We will install all the tools. We will install Git, Maven, all the things, Java, whatever the required packages we need, we will install all the required packages. But first of all, we need to understand how can we install the packages. Okay, that's the reason I would like to show you. So for the very first command that I'm using is sudo su hyphen. You know the purpose of the command? It is mainly for switching from normal user to the root user. So from the basic Linux commands I was explaining you, like what is a sudo su hyphen? Sudo su hyphen, with the help of this command, we are just trying to switch to the root user. Sudo stands for super user do. Su stands for switch user. So we are trying to switch to the root user. Sudo su hyphen command is used for switching to the root user. It's mainly used for switching from normal user to the root user. You see here on this command prompt, you see it is clearly showing it as EC2 user. When I switch by using this command, it is clearly showing that it is a root user. We are now as a root user. And now if I want to install any packages, okay, if I want to install any packages, we have a package manager. We have a package manager. What is a package manager? You know, ever heard about YUM? Did you ever heard about YUM? YUM is a repository. YUM is a repository manager or package manager. So if I want to install any of the package, suppose if I want to install any of the package like git, sudo, yum install git. Can you see here? I'm just trying to install some package from the repository. What is the meaning of this particular command? Anyhow, sudo keyword we used to attach sudo keyword for getting the sudo permissions. Leave about the sudo keyword. Okay. Anyhow, you are already logged in as a root user. You don't need to use sudo keyword. Okay. But even if you use also, that's not a problem. We have already logged in as a root user. When you are already as a root user, you don't need to use the sudo keyword. Even though if you use the sudo keyword, that's not a problem. But you need to understand what is the purpose of yum install git. What we are trying to do here. We are trying to install a package called git. We are trying to install a package called git. from the repository called M. M is a package manager. It is having all the packages. It maintains all the packages. It is a repository where all the packages, where all the Linux package, where all the packages for the softwares will be maintained. I'm just trying to run this command. I'm sudo yum install git. So that you see, try to observe the output sudo yum install git. When I'm running this command, it is trying to download the dependencies. You see, total download size, this one, okay. So it is going to download the git package and it is going to install it. So if I click yes, if I give the confirmation like yes, that's it. The package will get installed into your machine. Hope you understood what is happening. Like whenever I'm running a command called sudo yum install git. So if I run the command, usually the git package will be downloaded. And if you give the confirmation as yes, that will be installed. That will be installed in your local machine. And you know what is the purpose of Git package that we are installing here? Git package we are installing here to execute some Git commands. If there is no Git package, Git commands will not be executed. Git commands will not be executed. You see, I would like to show you after installing the Git package. I'm just trying to use git space -- version. So we have already installed the Git package and I want to check I want to check whether the Git package is installed or not. I want to confirm. If you want to confirm whether the Git package is installed or not, you can use a command called git space -- version so that it will display the version number of the Git. Git version is 2.40.1. This is how we will install the Git package. So not only Git package, any other packages, okay, any other package. Suppose if I want to install Maven, if I want to install Java, let's see here, I would like to install Java. Sudo yum install Java. I would like to install Java. I'm just running a command called sudo yum install Java, meaning I would like to install a package called Java from the repository called yum. Yes, let me try it. Sudo yum install Java. Sudo yum install Java. Yes, it is getting, the package is getting downloaded. You see, the package got downloaded. And you want to install, total download size is 106 MB. And if you are going to install it, it will occupy 280 MB. So if I give yes, the package will get installed, Java package will get installed into the machine. So whatever the packages we require here, usually in the Windows environment, you see, if we want to download and install any of the package, we'll go to the Google, we will search like git bash download. Okay, git bash download. If we will search like Maven download, Apache Maven download, like that. But here we will be having a repository called yum and we will be giving the package name. So that package, it will find that particular package in the repository. Once it is available, it will help us to, it will give us the package we can download and we can install it. So let's try to see here. You need to understand like what is the command that we are using to understand whether the Maven is installed. We can use a command. We can run a command called mvn space -- version. Sorry, we did not install Maven yet, but let's see the Java version. Just now we have installed the Java package. I'm running a command called java space -- version. Java space -- version. Can you see the Java latest version is downloaded? We did not mention the version number. We just installed like yum install Java. If you run yum install Java, only the latest version will get installed. Only the latest version is installed. Okay, open JDK 22.0.2. This is the version got installed. Hope you understood how we are installing Git, how we are installing Jenkins, how we are installing the Java. And I would like to install one more package. For now, I'm running a command called sudo yum install Maven. I would like to run a command called sudo yum install Maven. And you see, when I'm running this command, the Maven tool is getting downloaded. And if I give the confirmation, that's it. The Maven tool gets installed into the machine. The Maven gets installed into the machine. Okay. So if you want to check the Maven version, the same thing, Maven space -- version. If you want to check the Maven version, there is a key. So all the Maven commands must start with MVN. That's the reason why we use MVN space -- version. Yes, Maven is installed. Maven is also installed. Apache Maven is also installed. This is how we will download and install the packages. Okay, we need to install Java, Maven, Git, all these things to see how actually the build tool works. What are the build commands we need to give on the source code? All these things we'll be understanding in the next session. Any questions in the today's session, please let me know. Do you have any questions on the today's session?
No, MC.
Okay, please practice. Okay, please go ahead and practice like how see whatever the things that we are discussing in the session. Please try to practice so that you will get more doubts, or otherwise you'll get some hands on. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, Vamsi. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you all. Let's meet tomorrow for the next session. Yeah. Thank you.